I'd say we didn't have actual like successful product till like 2017 or 18. We were profitable within the first month or two. I think we were selling like 10 units a day or something without any ad spend. So we sold out like after a month.
Give me a little bit about your background before you tapped into the Amazon space, and what were you doing and how did you get introduced to Amazon?
Yeah, so I started online marketing like as sort of like a side hustle probably like 15 years ago. And my first sort of attempts at it were successful for brief periods of time, but then they turned into failures, I would say, because they weren't sustainable. So I figured out ways to get people to opt in as an affiliate and get commissions like that. And I had a couple of days where I was earning like 5,000-6,000 a day, but it was like for 2 weeks at a time. So I couldn't replicate it. And after like a year of trying to replicate it, I just kind of gave up on being an entrepreneur for a couple of years. And I went to school to be a lawyer because I was always really good at writing and like reasoning. So I became a lawyer. And during my time at law school, I kind of got like an itch to start a business, even though it's like probably the worst possible time to do it because I have no free time whatsoever. But I saw like my student loans mounting and the job prospects didn't look very good. So it was sort of like my backup plan to do something that had more income potential that I was more interested in. So I created a supplement company. It's called Magia Superfoods. And basically I learned of the idea of selling on Amazon through one guy I was following for a couple of years before that called Ryan Moran. And I saw that he was selling supplements on Amazon, and I had been following him long enough to know that he didn't really have any specialized knowledge about supplements more so than I did. So I was like, okay, so you can just sell supplements. Like you don't have to like own a manufacturing facility or really know anything at all. You can just kind of like do research on things you like and start manufacturing them. So I did that. I launched a couple of products and several years went by. I was very busy, so the business like went up and down. It probably could have scaled like a lot faster, but I just didn't have enough time to devote to it until after I was graduated. And after I was graduated, we were probably doing like 1 or 2 million a year, or like right when I was out of law school. But several years of effort. It's been like 6 years since then. So now we're like at over 12 million a year. So much better and sustainable.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And did you start right away on Amazon or did you start somewhere else?
So Amazon, but we also sell on like all these online channels now, like Walmart. TikTok Shop's really big for us right now, and Shopify. And then there's like some distributors that we've been talking to. So yeah,
that's pretty cool. So tell me a little bit about the idea. How did you come up with the supplement idea? What made you want to do that?
Yeah. Well, I was always like really into health foods, and I had been buying supplements to kind of like give me more energy in law school. So I saw the category potential, and I knew enough about it that I could find some like more obscure ideas that weren't like totally oversaturated with infinite budgets. So I launched a spirulina powder, and when I launched it, like there was maybe like 4 other sellers, and I saw that they were selling maybe like 30-40 units a day, and I was like, if I sell 30 units a day and I'm the number 3 or number 4, like that's fine. I can beat these people on packaging. It's nothing that impressive.
So you saw that before launching, or
yeah?
So you did your research like using, I'm guessing, helium-10.
When I started, there was no helium-10, and there was no Jungle Scout. So
okay,
it was just looking at BSR and kind of just throwing some darts at the board. Yeah.
Doing the manual work yourself. That's actually a pretty good tip. Yeah, looking at the BSR and when was that? If you don't mind me asking, when
I started doing research in 2014.
2014. Okay.
Yeah. And
cool.
We didn't really have like a product that hit the market until like late 2015, and I'd say we didn't have actual like successful product till like 2017 or 18. They were just kind of like mediocre like first base hits until 2017 or 2018. But just kind of keep doing research, keep throwing darts at the board, improving your packaging, branding, listings, get better every year.
I see. So let me ask you this: how did you find your suppliers initially? Was it hard finding a supplier?
Yeah, we didn't really know what we were doing. I went to an Expo West, I think, in Anaheim. So they have all the nutritional supplement co-packers and manufacturers and suppliers. And I just walked around for a couple hours and talked to like everyone. But we actually found our supplier just by looking at one of these like organic registered co-packer databases. So they have like a database of everybody that has registration. And we just called a bunch of them, and whichever one was comfortable with our pretty low MOQ, which is like minimum order quantity. Like that's the one we were like, all right, they're willing to do 500 units and take a gamble on us. Like let's go with them because we didn't have a lot of money. So
Nice. So
a lot of
talked
co-packers,
with
like they'll require like 5,000 units or something, which could be like 20, 30K for like a fill, but we had to find one that would like take a stab at us for like 500 or 500 units, which is just a couple $1,000s.
what was your unit cost?
It's been a long time, but we probably invested like close to 10K. I had a business partner at the time, so we kind of split the risk a little bit.
So it was 10K for 500 bottles or
something like that. I think our total investment into the company, like that starting, was like around 10K. Yeah.
If you don't mind, because for our channel, like we want to like break it down a little bit, so I might just try to ask you. We're trying to get like down to the unit cost.
It was not. It was like 10 years ago, so it's going to be
Right,
different.
right. No,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the whole point of like us trying to share with new people, because
Yeah.
you know, for someone new, they're like, okay, how much I'm spending, and so but roughly you spend about $10,000 for startup costs. Does that include like design, shipping?
Yeah.
So that included the whole package. So
Yeah.
if we break it down,
Yeah, I mean, we kind of bootstrapped it as much as we could, and it wouldn't really be as competitive today, but we had a family friend who was like a graphic designer, so they did the graphics for free, for example. But
nice.
now, like, you probably need to spend at least like, I'd say $500 to get like a decent packaging design. So it would cost a little bit more now, but we were using student loans and stuff like that, so we were kind of like doing everything we could to just bootstrap it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the whole. That's pretty cool. I mean, I think in the beginning, everyone is trying to like bootstrap their brand launch because they
Mhm.
don't want to spend too much money. It feels like a bit of a risk. There
Yeah.
are a few people who are like I've talked to that spend a lot of money to launch their brand, but it takes a lot of like experience and confidence and risk taking to like be like, oh, I'm gonna put in like
Yeah.
50 grand
Yeah.
or more, you know.
Yeah.
On a launch. Did you guys start an LLC at the time?
Yes.
Okay, so you started an LLC. I'm guessing that approximately costs like $250.
Yeah. I was in law school, so I set it up myself.
Oh, you did it yourself? So you
Mhm.
just had to pay the state fee, or I think it was like
Yeah.
it's $90.
Yeah, just any filing fees and the annual tax fee for California.
And
But I didn't have to pay a lawyer to draft it or anything. Yeah.
and how many variations did you have for the first product? Was it one UPC code,
Just
or did you
one.
have to?
Only one. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a spirulina powder in a jar. We bought a UPC code on eBay.
Oh, you bought it on eBay? Okay.
Yeah. Wouldn't do it now, but that's what we did at the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we recommend people get it from GS1 because you don't know what you're gonna get on eBay these days.
Of course. It was a different time.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm guessing, did you guys like test samples at first before getting your first inventory?
Yeah, I had a bunch of green powder floating everywhere from all over. um, I bought the top sellers on Amazon. I compared it to our samples and narrowed it down to find one that I thought had some kind of superior composition or taste or origin. And I found sort of like a unique selling proposition that wasn't quite emphasized on Amazon enough. So it wasn't just like a blatant copy of something that was already selling. So yeah, finding like the angle that you want to lean into, and then finding a way to differentiate it with the brand messaging and marketing and packaging, which admittedly our packaging and brand was terrible back then, but we did the best we could.
Yeah, no, I get it. In the beginning, it's like you're still trying to learn how to do it all too. So you're like learning and trying to make it look good. So it's
Yeah.
a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
And did the $10,000 include the packaging and the design too? That estimate?
Yeah.
Do you remember how much it cost you to do the design and the packaging?
Yeah, I mean, I give you approximations. I think like a jar of spirulina, maybe it's like an 8-ounce jar. I think our first one was actually a 1-pound jar, but I'll just say, for example, 8-ounce jar. It's like maybe $4 per unit to like fill it and get it in the jar, and then you have to pay for like the materials inside of it. So maybe that adds like another $2 or $3 per unit. So maybe you're at like cost of goods like $7 per unit, and we're doing 500 of them. So you can multiply 7 times 500, and you get like $3,500 or something, right? Then you have to
Yeah.
do freight to inbound Amazon, and then the Amazon fee. So it's like a couple $100 more. You got your LLC fee. It's like 800 plus filing fees. So then you're like close to 5,000 maybe, like getting it into Amazon. And if you wanted to do graphic design, that maybe be like another 500. PPC fees, you're probably going to spend a couple thousand on that. Maybe like 1,000 to move 500 units. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Depends how
How much
aggressive
were
you want to
you
be.
how much were you selling it for when you guys first launched it?
I think it was like 1999.
1999.
Yeah, but I didn't really understand like pricing or margin or things like that as well as I do now. So we still have the same product for sale. I just kind of keep it around just for memory's sake. But I think it's like twice the price now, and it's not in a jar anymore because it got difficult to get jars. So we switched to stand-up pouches. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, somewhere like 7 or 8 years ago, like it got pretty difficult to get the jars from China reliably. So they do stand-up pouches in the U.S. It's a lot quicker to get them.
Oh, so you changed your packaging to here locally, and
Mhm.
the supplier is also in the U.S.
The spirulina supplier and the pouches are U.S. Yeah. Well, the spirulina now we switched that too because we found a better supplier that was in Korea, so we switched that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and 500 units. You guys shipped it locally at the time, so it was like in the U.S. shipment. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing like that was like $150 to ship it to you.
Yeah,
And
something like that.
did you ship it straight to Amazon, or did you ship it to
FBA.
your house? You shipped it straight to Amazon from the warehouse?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
never stored any inventory in my house at any point.
Nice. Okay, so you shipped it right away. And I'm guessing you did do a trademark
Mhm.
at the time to qualify for brand registry.
I don't think they had it back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But that did happen a couple years later. It was a long time ago, so
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
understand. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
like get the rough numbers
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. But we did get a trademark a couple years later. It wasn't immediate.
Okay. All right. So I would like to talk about launching your first month. So do you remember when did you launch it? Which month?
Sometime in
And
2015.
2015. Do you
Mhm.
remember which month was it?
Sorry, I don't remember that.
Okay. And do you remember how the launch went?
We were profitable within the first month or two.
Okay.
So
Do you
it gave me hope to invest more into the inventory. I think we were selling like 10 units a day or something without any ad spend even. And then when we ran the ad spend, it was like 15 or 20 or something. So I was like, okay, like we can sell units without doing anything. So that means we're in business.
And so 10 units, that's really good. I mean, right from the beginning, you guys were selling and without PPC marketing or any
Yeah.
advertising. Did you do any influencer marketing or anything like that
There weren't even really influencers back then. That's the thing.
in 2015?
It was like blogs maybe, but there was like
Yeah, I mean,
there
you
was
guys
no
started
like
back then.
Instagram.
It was a
Yeah.
different time.
Yeah. I'm like very heavily into like social marketing now, but Instagram, like, did it even exist then? I'm not sure.
It wasn't as popular as today, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
It was mostly YouTube. I think YouTube was the most
Yeah.
heavily used. So do you remember when you ran out of your like first inventory? Was it
Yeah. We were out of stock for like a month.
like right
Because
after the second month?
Yeah, because the lead time for supplements is like 8 weeks typically. So we sold out
And did you
we sold
feel
out with like a month because it was like 10 units a day. So we sold out like after a month, and then we like didn't really know. We had to place an order faster, and we didn't have a lot of money. So we kind of like got down to like the last 150 units or something. And then we placed an order, and it's like, okay, that's going to be another 8 weeks. Then we're just, okay, I guess we're just going to sit around, do some research.
so for like 2 months you guys are just sitting waiting for the new stock to come in?
Basically.
How much?
Unfortunately, that probably happened to us like 20 times over the last 10 years. So it's
Oh wow, okay.
not a rarity. It did happen a lot.
And did you order the same amount the second time, or did you order more now that you saw it selling? You're like, oh, this is selling fast. Should I order more? What was your thought
Hard,
process at the time?
it's hard to remember that. I
Okay.
don't remember. I would just be making something up. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah.
But that's definitely like something
Yeah.
new sellers run into all the time. They don't plan for success most of the time. They just like buy the
Yeah.
first set of inventory and you're like, okay, it's selling and now I'm out. So um
Yeah. Yeah. You have to like order way more, and people don't account for the extra cost, I think. So like,
yeah.
if you start with 10,000 and you spend like 6 or 7,000 of that on all the various things, like, and then 1 month later you've barely been paid out and you have to order twice as much inventory the next time, like where's the money going to come from? It's
Yeah.
probably not coming from your Amazon payouts in time to pay your suppliers, so you have to find money somewhere else usually. So we did have to get like a line of credit at some point, because just to sustain the scaling of the inventory. And that's, I mean, it can still be a tough problem depending how quickly your sales go up. But usually, like if we're selling like way faster than we expect, like we're just placing orders like every 3 to 4 weeks. So there's like multiple POs going at the same time, and then you have to work out like payment terms with your suppliers and things like that, which you learn as you go. So there's a lot of different ways you could do it. You get a line of credit, you get payment terms, kind of kick things down the road like 60 days, and just hope that nothing in your business self-destructs during that time.
I mean, looking back, did you like, is there anything you would have done differently to start it or like to launch it? Do you feel like there's any mistakes that you did along the line that like you learned from and you're like, I'm not doing that again?
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest mistake is brand direction and thinking that you can just launch more different products and grow your company. I feel like it's a lot easier to grow if you focus in on like what you're best at. So like
Focusing on
a lot of
what?
these
Sorry.
supplement companies, they'll have like a popular like ginseng capsule. And then they're like, okay, let me go launch lion's mane. Okay, let me go launch a probiotic. Let me go launch a turmeric capsule. And they think they're just going to like dominate everything. And even though there's like no examples of supplement companies that are like dominating every single category, but the ones that do the most volume, they're usually like just really invested into one category. And maybe they'll have like different variations kind of like similar to that category, but people spread themselves too thin.
Do you feel like you ran into that issue? Like you tried to launch different
Yeah, definitely.
categories and do you know how much like did it cost you any money? Like, do you feel like you lost money doing it?
You can make money in the short term, and it seems like you're making the right decision at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like example, like we were doing pretty well with like spirulina. So it's like, okay, let's do a moringa powder, and it's like, okay, that's doing well too. It actually is doing better than the spirulina. Okay, let's do a ashwagandha powder, and it's like, okay, yeah, like we're growing like 500K every time we launch like a new SKU. But then somebody goes into the category and has more focus on it, and they outsell you and outrank you, and you gradually like slip down the rankings, and you're not looking at it
Mm,
anymore. You're looking at something else, and you don't have the focus and the money to keep up with them. So people that focus in on these various projects you take on, they're just going to gradually like kick you down the rankings, and the awareness, the customers are going to go to the company that focuses on moringa, focuses on ashwagandha. Yeah. So I think that's a mistake. Like I used to like
mistaken scaling.
I used to mentor a lot of like Amazon sellers. That's what like all of them do. They all make that mistake,
Mm.
and I tell them not to, and they don't listen.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, you have to realize that there's a lot of competition, and if you're not putting your 100% into each product line, you're gonna, someone else is gonna come and outcompete you. So,
Yeah,
um,
and a brand, you can only put your 100% into like one thing.
mm,
You can launch another brand and do that separately, but like you can't be like a specialist in like women's fitness apparel and men's fitness apparel like very effectively. Like it's going to be tough to do that.
yeah,
Like, what is it that you do best?
yeah, that's a really good point. Any other mistakes that like you've done that you feel like it cost you money, especially in the beginning, like in the beginning years, like or in the first year, do you feel like there's any? I think running out of inventory is a big one because like you could have made money if you ordered more, but you didn't know that it's gonna start selling right away. And
Yeah, preventable mistakes. Maybe like being comfortable hiring team members sooner. might have been a good thing versus trying to be restrictive with capital and keep it all for myself. Yep, you have to bring on people that can take some of the burden off of you so that you can clear your mind to do things that are more important once you're able to do it. And that might mean you're not going to be able to pay yourself 200K that year. Maybe you only get to pay yourself 100K, but
Yeah,
it's a short-term sacrifice for long-term benefit.
for long-term success.
Yeah. But it's really hard to get out of that mindset of keeping all your money for yourself and don't waste money. And I can do that. Like, why do I need to hire somebody to do that?
Right, right. Well, Ryan, I mean, I feel like we got everything here. Well, thank you for coming on and like sharing your story. Is there anything else you would like to share, like any other interesting facts or um, maybe anything interesting that happened during this period?
So we're really heavy into affiliate marketing on social. So that's how we've grown like by 5 or 6 million over the last 2 years. So I think it's a pretty big thing to probably talk about. I wouldn't really consider us an Amazon seller or brand. That's just where we started and what we're good at. But the percentage of our revenue from other sources is going up every year too. And I think like if you want to be an effective Amazon seller now, like all the all the basics are still key, like the listings and the PPC and all that. But if you're in a space that has like a higher sales volume potential, you're probably competing with brands that have social presence. And if they do have like social presence going on and you don't have any focus on that at all, like it's going to be pretty impossible to compete with them. So I like for me, the best way that I found to do it is to recruit content affiliates who can make content on the various platforms and get commissions for it. So like TikTok Shop is really nice while it's still here, assuming it's going to stay around. Maybe it doesn't, but we move to another platform and we get content affiliates on that platform if it doesn't. So we have about 25 content affiliates on retainer who just post content and they distribute it everywhere for us. They get commissions for it, and that increases our brand awareness a lot.
Great. Yeah, that's a really good tip for small brands that are trying to scale and get into the 7-figure range. That's really good tip. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, it was good having you on. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge, experience, and your story. Hope talk to you some other time. And
You too. Goodbye.